Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm doing the double bunny. It's an excellent streamer pattern for anything that eats a bait fish, bass, trout, tying a saltwater hook, works great. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anybody that wants to support the channel, get access to the monthly fly tying classes, the members only content, as well as being entered into the giveaways. You can also subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notified of the new videos, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, watch all the way to the end, all of that helps. So I've got my hook and my vise. It's a size 2 Varival 2500 SE, so it's a straight eye hook. I believe originally folk tied this in a 5263, which is a down eye hook. I've no idea why you would want to tie this in anything other than a straight eye. The straight eye is exactly what you want for this pattern. It makes it swim better. It looks cleaner as well, and it's easier to tie. So I'm just going to weight the hook. With 25 tons of 010 lead. Push it to the front there, and I'm just going to get a wee bit of super glue. And I'm going to push it back. Oops, till about. I've got 2 eye lengths clear at the front. So it's not a huge amount of weight I've put on this. You can weight it as heavily as you like within reason. You can use dumbbells. If you want it to be really heavy, dumbbells are better than using thick lead. Kind of interferes with your ability to stick the hide together. And then I'm going to run on a thread base. This just helps everything to stick, really. You know, you see some folk, they just tie at the front and then glue it, but the tear mender doesn't adhere to the metal. It only adheres to porous substances, or porous surfaces, I should say. So if you coat the shank with thread, your thread's porous, right? The tear mender can penetrate it, so you get a much better stick and a much more durable fly. And I'm just going to smooth that. I don't want a bump, just a kind of gradual taper up to the lead. And again, this is just, you're just putting more material for the glue to bond. But don't go crazy, you don't want to make it too fat that you can't get the rabbit to stick. Now in this size, this is about as big as I would go with a standard rabbit strip. If you go any bigger, then you will need to use a magnum. So I had an olive and white in the vise, and you can by all means tie olive and white. You can tie various colours. I'm doing a lot at the moment, so I'll show you later the different colour options once we're doing the gluing. I'm going to stop my thread right in front of that lead, right? So I've got 2 clear hook eyes at the front. And I'm going to take my belly colour, so this is going to be olive and orange. Sort of bluegill, I suppose. And length, I want the hide to be basically the length of the hook. on this size. When I go a wee bit smaller, I'll you know, if you go to a size 4, I'll make the hide the length of the shank, so that you actually get a kind of meaningful difference in size between the 4 and the 2. And you don't need to go that small. You know, you don't need to go as small as a 6 to get the smaller fly. So you've still got plenty of hook there to get them stuck. So I've pierced a hole in my zonker there, so that's a hook length behind the hole, and then I've got this. Now, don't stretch this, don't put it really tight, just have enough tension to straighten it, because when you stretch it, the hide obviously becomes narrower. So what I want is just enough tension to make it sit straight, something like that, and then pinch it, I'll catch it in. Right there, I've got some hair. You can moisten it to separate it if the hair's getting in your way. 2 or 3 turns is plenty there, just to hold it. Check that you're lined up nicely. Right, so you want to have some available hide at either side of the shank. Right, when you look down from below, from above, sorry. So if I press that up, you can see that it's wide enough. There's just a bit of hide available. Then I'm going to tidy this up. I want this locked in. I don't want this to move once it's attached. So I'm just tidying it all up, covering everything, making it nice and smooth. And then we're in. Then for the back, bit olive, same width, and line these up. But don't, I mean, try to make them the same length, but don't be too worried like if you've got a mil of a difference, because you can trim it later. Some barred olive would actually be nice, wouldn't it? I don't know if I've got any. No. Must have used it all. Okay, so we'll just stick with the plain olive. So, as I was saying, as close to the same length as you can easily get it, but don't spend ages. And again, don't put it tight when you stretch it. You just want it to have when you're sizing it, you just want enough tension to straighten it. Catch that in. And you'll notice that I'm not pre-cutting the zonker, because that just makes you waste material. Right. You see these guys, they pre-cut it and they're always got an inch over the end. It doesn't really make things any easier for you, but you're always wasting that inch of zonker. And I don't think, you know, if you're tying, you don't get that many of these out of a packet, so you know, if you're tying half a dozen, you're going to lose 2 flies worth of zonker, which is a fair amount, you know. So at this stage I'm just going to whip finish, right. I don't glue these on the vise. I know some people like to and just keep going. But it's because you need to stick this with the tear mender, this pattern really lends itself to stage tying. So a couple of whip finishes, fine, and then just carry on tying however many you're going to tie up to this stage, right? If it's half a dozen, if it's 10, whatever, you know, maybe you want to tie an olive and white, a chartreuse and white, black and purple, maybe this, depending on what your target species is, yellow and brown, whatever, any of the popular colours. I've got here, I mean, I had an olive and white in my vise when I started, but there's, I'm going to do a black and purple, sort of yellow chartreuse and white, olive and white, a slightly smaller tan and white to imitate a smelt. So you'll be much quicker if you just tie them all up to this stage. So I'll carry on with this, and then when I get to the gluing stage I'll be back to show you how that goes. Okay, so ready for the gluing. I've already done some black and purple, set them aside. What you need to do the gluing is, I like to have some water handy to moisten the rabbit hair. A material bag, right, just a plastic material bag to set the glue on. You can peel it off once it's set. Your bodkin and some tear mender or a similar fabric and leather adhesive, right? You want that instant fabric and leather adhesive. It's got to be flexible, right? Don't use super glue. I know some people say you can use super glue, but the flies are rubbish if you tie them with super glue, right? The hair just becomes brittle and the fly doesn't swim. It's as simple as that. So the first thing, before I put any glue on it, I'll just wet my fingertips and I'll just wet the hair but not the leather. Right, I'm only, you see here, I'm only really touching the leather, touching the hair, sorry, leaving the leather dry. Easier if I turn that over, I think. It doesn't need to be soaking, it's just enough to stop it getting in the way, right? Because the hair can be quite unruly and it can make things quite tricky when you go to try to stick things together. So on my tear mender, put a small amount, I don't want that, that's went into some old hair, and pick it up with the needle. And then I like to come on the underside first. I like to get plenty on. And when the hair's behaving, it's quite easy. Look, just make sure the bodkin's clean. If there's a wee bit of hair there, it can cause you trouble. So once that's coated, I can now do my underside. And basically I'm trying to saturate the hide. I've just been watchful, I don't want any fluff or anything in the glue that will cause me to spill onto the hair. Only the leather. A bit extra at that end, and you can even put it on the thread wraps. So I can now sort of slide this up, and then stick these hides together, and I want the hides to touch. So you've pushed them together there, squeezing them together there. Now, see there, I've caught a wee bit of hair, just separate it away, don't worry. It's not the end of the world, because it's wet it will no stick to the Mender too bad. And then come in, separate it away, and if there is a wee bit on the hair, you don't need to be too fussed, it will come away once it all sets up. Now you can see there, the chartreuse strip's a bit longer, but that's fine, I'll just cut that later once everything's dry. But that's it, that's the gluing. Easy, easy. Now I've got a wee space there but it's not quite bonded, so I'm just going to carefully come in. Check that side again and that's fine, so there's no gap. So there you go. Right, so I'll continue with them, and when I come back, when I'm finished, I'll come back and we'll do the eyes and the flash and the... Okay, so everything's glued up, back just with this olive and white, and I'm just going to restart my thread over the nose. Trim away my excess rather than try to snap it. And all that's left to do now is put some lateral flash and add eyes. So I'm going to take, I've got some silver holographic Flashabou here, and I always put a cable tie right at the end. So I've got plenty of length. What I'm going to do is moisten it so that it kind of sticks together and it's easy to position. And then I'll turn this so you can sort of see what I'm doing. I'll lie it on my side right along the leather, and I like it to be shorter than the rabbit fur, so it can come to like the back of the leather maybe. Take 2 wraps and I'll just fold it, another couple, and then I'll cut these two just slightly shorter. So I've got 4 strands of flash, and they're going right down the middle of the fly like a lateral line, and I'll do the same on your side. One, two, fold it over, another couple, maybe 3 there, and again just slightly shorter, and that's you, right? I mean, I like to moisten it just to keep it together at this stage. I don't want it spreading too much, because if it's all spread out when you put your eye on, then it will stay all spread out. So I'll put a gold eye on this. Just give a wee bit of contrast to that silver flash, and it stands out quite nicely against the olive. But ultimately, again, it's up to you. I'm using a 6mm eye. I'd maybe go to 8 on this size. This is sort of the size where the size of fly where you would make the jump. On a size 4, definitely a 6mm. So I'm just putting a blob of gel super glue. And I'll position that eye. And same on this side. Make sure they're even, which is the beauty of the gel type. You've got a wee bit of working time. Top and bottom. There you go. A nice looking fly. Weedguard. I'm going to put one on. Now, I know some folk say they're fish guards, but either it's a badly applied weed guard, usually, or it's probably false attribution. I don't think a weed guard actually costs you any fish, really. I mean, you don't hook every fish anyway, and certainly quite often the extra eats that you get when you use a weed guarded fly, because you can throw it right up into the sticks, it balances out. So I've got some 20-pound hard nylon, and I've just folded over a length, taking a couple of wraps in front of the loop, and then I'll pull it up and take a couple of wraps behind, pull it down, and then we'll see how it's looking. And what I like to do is I'll just take a wrap under and around a couple of times and sort of figure 8 through, just locking it. Just sort of position that. And then we'll hit finish. Trim away the thread, moisten everything there just to keep it out of the way. Get a nice coat of cement. Whatever you prefer to use is fine. And then, oops, I'll just pull that back so I can see the length that I want about there. Just enough to turn it if it's coming through some timber or whatever, and turn the hook away for some weed. There you go. The double bunny. It's actually quite a simple fly to tie, but it's very, very effective. They look amazing in the water, and they're well worth putting in your box. So I hope that was useful, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like the video, and I'll see you for another one. Tight lines guys, bye.